Hello, my name is Heather Cortina, and I'm going to be speaking with you today on whether or not the federal minimum wage should be increased. So the debate on the federal minimum wage has raged on in America for several years. The minimum wage can be defined as the least income that an employee legally gets paid for their labor and varies from country to country. The minimum wage can be used as a tool to uplift living standards of workers in a country, which can in turn lead to increased productivity. Many questions and opinions have been raised since the law on hourly wages was passed in 1938. Workers from different states have taken their discrepancies to the courts demanding for increment in the minimum wage. This has made some states increase the wages of the workers while others have not affected any changes. This raises the question on why can't the increment in minimum wages be made on a national scale, since most U.S. workers are calling for the same. This paper argues that the minimum wages should be increased to lower the poverty levels, reduce the gap in inequality, and boost the economy, among other benefits. So increasing the federal minimum wage will bring down the level of poverty among the Americans. Rewarding the hardworking employees with an increased wage not only uplifts from their miserable living conditions, but also places them in a situation where they do not live from hand to mouth. Raising the wages mostly benefits the children, since according to Mahatma Gandhi, the greatness of any nation is measured by the way its weak members are treated. Studies have shown that children from poor backgrounds are highly likely to perform dismally, suffer from depression, or struggle to integrate well into society. This means that by increasing the wages of the working class, especially the parents, the living standards of these children are improved. Helping the poor children in the United States through the increased wages of the people they depend on can be considered as the country's longest term investment. The United States is among the top nations when it comes to income inequality due to the low minimum wage. Increasing the minimum wages in the United States can help lower income inequality. This not only ensures that the workers can earn more money, but also increases the number of those people or workers constituting the median wage for fair labor. Even the full-time workers under minimum wages mostly rely on welfare programs offered by the government, and this disadvantages them economically. Raising the wages would give the workers the opportunity and freedom to spend more and also save more funds. This will also do away with the point of relying on overtime to comfortably live. Enacting a national increase in wages would close the inequality gaps, even if it would take time. The federal wage ought to be raised to realize a boost in the economy. Hiking the wages boosts the economy in numerous ways. Increased wage triggers economic growth, as well as the creation of more job opportunities. The employees benefit in that they can pocket more money from the hours worked. The government also benefits from the minimum wage increase, since it can raise billions of dollars in net revenue. The more money the workers make, the more the taxes they pay to the government, since the increment pushes them to a higher tax bracket. More money, more jobs means people have the flexibility to spend according to their needs, and this boosts economic growth in multiple ways. The increased minimum wage adds value to federal minimum wage, which has failed to keep pace with inflation for a long time. Therefore, increasing the federal minimum wage helps put it at par with inflation, enabling workers to get what they deserve to afford a better living. The increase in minimum wages would help to lower both gender and race-based inequality, according to Babick. This calls to the federal government to also be proactive on the same matter, since the issue cannot be solely left to the local governments. The women would more feel the impact of increased hourly wage rates compared to men. Statistics have it that more women constitute of those likely to be affected by a hike in the wages, meaning that the hourly rate decreases the inequality between men and women. Besides the inequality between men and women, a study established inequality in payments made to the made to the white people and the Latinos or African American people. It found that the whites were making $21 while the people of color were making $15. And as much as the increase in the minimum wage cannot alone bridge the racial gap, its implementation would ensure that millions of Latinos and African American workers are brought closer to economic security, as well as ensuring the racial wealth gap is reduced with time. Generally, an increment in wages gives the underprivileged people, women, and people of color the opportunities afforded to the superiors. The government can increase the minimum wage to reduce the amount of money it spends on welfare programs. The current hourly rates leave most of the workers below the poverty level, and so have to turn to the government. They have to turn to government for aid that they require. The federal government, on the other hand, tries to help those in dire need using the taxpayers' money. If the federal government raises the minimum wages, millions of Americans will move out of the poverty level, meaning that they no longer need welfare programs. This enables the government to cut its spending on those programs, and the money saved can be put into better use as building more schools, improving healthcare, or building more and more better roads. Further, the majority of Americans have declared that their support for an increase in the federal minimum wage. On a different point of view, increasing the wages for workers may lead to price increases for the consumers. So this is because the businesses are forced to make up for the losses they incur as a result of increased labor expenses. They are only left with one option of offsetting the deficit caused by increased wages. So basically, this is because the businesses are forced to make up for the losses they incur as a result of increased labor expenses. So this not only affects consumption, but also the profits realized by the companies, further implying that the government collects less revenue. However, this does not wash down the many benefits of increasing the federal minimum wage. In conclusion, there is a great need to increase the minimum wage across the country to enjoy several benefits. Increasing the wages boosts the economy, reduces the racial gap and gender inequalities, bringing down the income inequality gap between the high class and the low class Americans, among other benefits. With more money in their pocket, more children from poor backgrounds can access education and live a happy life. Further, the workers will be able to have money and freedom to spend on more goods and services as they need without having to live hand to mouth. Thank you.